Hello, Manoj. There's the camera.
Hi, Christophe.
How are you doing?
I am good.
Good.
Thank you.
Wonderful to have you.
Am I too early?
Oh, you're just 2 minutes too early, so don't worry about it. You're on time.
Great.
What do they say?
Where are you based, Christophe?
In Fort Lauderdale, in Florida.
Ah, Florida. Okay.
How about you, Manoj? Where are you?
I am in Ahmedabad, India.
Yeah, where in India?
Ahmedabad, Gujarat.
Oh, okay. You're not at all in the same location as Shabbir.
No. I am in the city where we had the big aircraft crash recently.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard in the news. That's it's
Tragic, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely tragic. I haven't followed much, to be frankly honest. I've not followed the news too much lately, but yeah, I heard about it. And I heard there was one survivor somehow.
Yeah. There's been I think there's problem with the Dreamliner planes.
Is it the same one? Is it the same one that that had accident before?
No, that was a Max, but this one is after this accident in the last 4 days, many more episodes are coming up connected with this Dreamliner.
Okay. Well, it's highly costing lives every time. All right, one more people are joining. Here we are. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Shabbir, I got your news lined up. Thank you very much. I did listen to your podcast. I found the time. Really cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I have to listen. I have to go watch the TED Talk from Brian. That's what I haven't done. Right, all right, Gary. Everybody else getting on board. Good morning, Ed. Good morning, Dr. Shadnan. We go. It's all right. Dale is joining. 3, 5, 6, 10. 13. All right. We'll go ahead and get started in a second. Let me get the screen on. Dale, good morning.
Good morning, Christophe. How you doing, everybody?
It's a beautiful start of the week.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning. All right, so share. Agenda. Perfect. Yep, we see that. Good morning, Dr. Thomas.
Good morning.
Perfect. We can see the screen, slideshow. We are on. And Greg, again, thank you so much for your presentation last week. That was very, very well presented, I want to say. I wanted to send you a WhatsApp chat to let you know very much on top of what you presented, the way you presented it. It was really very professional. Congratulations. Thank you.
Welcome. It was my pleasure. I'm glad it was of value to some folks.
Great.
Absolutely.
Good morning, Aaron. Aaron is a
good morning.
from Citrix years ago.
Yes, welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
No, absolutely. Well, I will let you, after the news, we'll take a second so you can introduce yourself as we do every time we have a new member.
Oh, sounds great. Thank you.
Aaron, you may recognize Ed. Ed was at the Citrix as well. You'll see him on there. He was.
Oh, hey, Ed.
So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. So, welcome everyone. Happy Monday. Thank you very much for joining today's call. So, on the agenda, as always, Shabbir is going to take us to the most current news, most notable news of last week. And then Ben will be taking us through the Web Summit Vancouver Convention summary. He was there. He was actually presenting there. I believe you had the booth, if I'm not mistaken. And He's going to take us through all this, all that's notable. And I think you will be able to record some of your opinions about some of the topics as well. And then after that, we will jump into our regular breakout room. If you want to continue the conversation on the Vancouver, you'll continue on the room, the conversation topic room. Otherwise, if any other the topics are that you see on the screen are of interest to you, please join one of these rooms. So with that, just before we get started with the news, Aaron, if I just 1 quick second, just not to put you on the spot, that welcome. And if you just want to say a couple words about you, Aaron, the big part of this team is the collaboration we get among each other, knowing what we do or we can help each other. So just a couple seconds about you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So I worked at Citrix for about 9 years, and I worked in marketing operations, started in sales. But what I've been doing in AI recently, so I have an artistic background, and what I've been doing in AI is really focusing on some of the, like Adobe Firefly, some of the content creation. And I left my last company, Infoblox, in November, and have been building out a plan to, well, I've been building out a company to basically re-architect and recreate outdated enablement content. So like if a CEO leaves a company, and then they have all these videos with that CEO, I'm basically doing with all the new, I'm working on like with the Firefly video VO3 to create these engaging cinematic looking videos where it costs a company a lot less money. And then, and using avatars as well. So, but I'm kind of I started this company. I'm still learning a lot. And I'm just a lot of trial and error with it. So that's why I really was excited to join this group, because I feel like I can learn a lot from seeing how you guys are putting things into motion. And Greg, I really enjoyed. I watched Christopher shared me your video about the eBay listing workflow, and that was just really gave me a lot of ideas too. So I appreciate that. It was really engaging. So nice to meet everyone.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Pleasure to have you on the call. Looking forward to collaborating together as we all do here. And you'll have to look at some of the old calls that we have as well. There's other presentation and you'll love them. I'll send that to you. I'll send the link today to you later on. All right. Thank you again. I don't think there's anybody else new. Oh, Francis is on the line. Hey, welcome back. It's been a little while. And pleasure to see you on the call. Brian, good afternoon. Let's go ahead and get started with the news. Shabbir, please take us through what was big last week.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Christophe. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So I think last week was pretty good. I have some interesting updates for the group here. I would get first started with the launch of O3 Pro, a model from, it's been there for a while, but I think they upgraded that. Currently available only in the Pro and the Teams plan. But this model is really, you can say, the best of the best in terms of thinking, and really works best because I think some of you probably already using it. If you have a Plus plan, you're using the O3, and O3 Pro is only in the Pro and the Teams plan now. But from the thinking perspective, it is much better. And I think it's also really good with if you are looking for very less hallucination, very negligible hallucination, as well as you're looking for business planning and use cases. So if you're looking for some business scheduling, business planning, business strategy, definitely check out O3 Pro. And also of late, I think the Teams plan is getting upgraded a lot into the enterprise space. If you're running a business, then I think rather than having the Plus plan, I would recommend get the Teams plan. The only challenge to that is you have to at least buy 2 seats. So it's about $70-80. So any business wanting to use ChatGPT, Teams plan is getting much better compared to the Plus plan. Secondly, I want to also bring like to the group, because now these models are getting more and more specialized. So Gemini 2.5 also got upgraded Pro, and this now really works very well for ideation. So if you're looking for ideation, you want to start a new company, business, or you want to have some novel ideas, Gemini 2.5 Pro is the best. If you do the same in ChatGPT, comparatively not that well suited. Also for coding now, Opus 4 is the best of the best. So I just brought some use cases here for the group, just wondering, which model to use where. I'll just summarize again. O3 Pro, use it when you want very less hallucination, when you're planning for your business. Definitely go for the team plan. But when you're looking for coding, Opus 4 is the best in the market now. And Gemini, if you want to do some novel ideation, that's where Gemini 2.5 Pro is the best. Also, moving on from there were some ChatGPT updates last week. So projects were a bit limited earlier. I spoke about connectors last week. This week, I think they upgraded the projects so that you could do deep research inside the projects as well. You could also do, they improved the voice mode also inside the project. So projects are getting a bit more powerful. Earlier, the Anthropic projects were more powerful. Now, I think ChatGPT really made the needed improvements to the project features here. And I think definitely look out at the improvements in the projects, because I think it's very, very helpful for if you're running a business, you want to bring together everything at one place. Projects is really important. Also, moving on from there, I like to talk about Genspark. I think Genspark is kind of becoming a leader in the agent space, and they launched their new browser feature. So this browser feature which they launched allows you to actually, you can very quickly, include any searches which you need to be included in part of your MCPs. So if you're looking at browser and you want to pull data, for example, you want to pull data from Reddit, you want to pull data from other sources, there are ready MCPs available which you can just pull in using the Genspark browser built-in feature. So definitely check it out if you are into using multiple sources of data. That's the most robust way of using it. You could of course put the URLs of Reddit, or you could even depend on the large language models for the training which was done in the past. But if you're looking for more precise, up-to-date information, then MCP and using agents like Genspark is the way to go. And the last news I want to end with is Mistral has launched something called as Mistral Flash. So currently it is the fastest thinking model. So if you're looking for thinking model, and for you the speed is really important, because some of the models from OpenAI, they take 5-10 seconds. O3 Pro takes about a minute, 2 minutes. But if you're looking for a thinking model which is blazing fast, then Mistral Flash should be your choice. So that pretty much wraps up the last week's news, but very interested if others have other interesting stories to share here. Thank you.
Thank you, Shabbir. Who else has any remarks of these news of your own tools you have used this week? Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, good morning. Couple of things. Christophe, I would like to do a presentation in a few weeks' time. Shall I see you separately about that?
Yeah, could you come to the leadership meeting if that's cool with you?
What time is it?
On noon on Friday.
Noon, what Pacific?
Eastern.
Okay, good.
Would that work for you?
Yes, it does, thanks.
Perfect. Also, it will be the exact same link.
Okay, good.
Come to the team, by all means. We're looking forward to a new topic for sure.
Thank you. And I want to coincide it with an article that's being published in a few weeks as well. I do have one kind of interesting piece of news. Is if anyone is mistakenly thinking of retiring, I was with a very good friend yesterday who's basically a relationship coach, and he's writing a book with the help of ChatGPT. The surprising news is he's actually coming up to his 94th birthday, and is starting to use has been using ChatGPT for a little while. I thought you'd like that story.
Is he publishing a book with that? Or is he
Oh yes, he is. I've read the first few chapters. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, what I've heard from writers is if you have it right, it's not that good. But if you have it co-write, where you
he does co-write. He basically writes it, gives it to ChatGPT to see if there's anything could be better articulated. But he's a brilliant writer, and he is just a phenomenon. We were reading some of his book yesterday, and we were actually moved to tears. It was so unbelievable. Anyway, I thought you'd like that story. There's plenty of years left in all of us.
Art, what's the story about? I'd love to know.
It's actually, he's a relationship coach, and it's all about love and being in the present. If anyone knows what EST is, he was one of the founders of EST about 40 or 50 years ago, and he is just a phenomenon.
What's his name?
What's his name, Rick?
His name is Jack Rafferty.
Can you put it in chat at some point, please?
Sure. The book's not published yet, but I'll give you his details. He's quite well known.
At Mark, I did ISA experience and landmark for many years based on Werner Erhard's work and came out of EST. So ISA was one of the forks from EST.
There have been many forks from that. I've done the
Yeah.
whole landmark thing as well. My wife did S, and
Nice.
so Jack worked with Werner Erhard, but I think he was like the fourth or fifth person working in EST.
Crazy.
But, yeah.
Good to know.
Brings
Thanks
us
for
back, landmark. Absolutely. Any other news? Any other tools? Connie, I see your comments. Can you tell us a little bit more, Connie? Hi.
Yeah, I was just commenting back to Rick regarding topics related to social media impacting on brain structure. My son's studying neuroscience over at UCSD, and he just finished doing some research on that. So yeah, if we needed to put together something related to that, we can probably pull that together quickly.
Oh, you couldn't fall at a better time. Rick was on the leadership call last week, 2 weeks ago, and we did discuss actually that topic very much so. And I know, Rick, you'll talk about that in a few minutes, I think, when we're done with the news, but definitely that would be a great time to connect him with Rick. Rick, you're good. Look at that. He's happy. So Rick will actually, right, Rick, let's do that. If you want to, what's the topic you want to bring in a couple of weeks, in a few weeks?
Well, actually, I was going to suggest a breakout room for people who are interested, crowdsource our expertise. But it's looking at not just social media, but AI and how it can change brain structure and function, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I've been looking into this. So it'd be nice to crowdsource our expertise rather than just relying on one person, but using AI to do it as well. To see how good is AI at researching the topic, and then top it up with expertise, Connie, with your son as well.
Rick, do you want a breakout room for today, or do you want to?
Yeah. If there's interest, I mean, if that'd be happy. You know, I just making connections with people who I'm deeply concerned about it for lots of different, particularly the ethics of it, which is critically important. Maybe I should have put ethics in it. The ethics of AI on affecting.
Let's use the ethics break room for today, and we'll do a quick just before we transition. I remind everybody, jump there, Connie, if you want to jump with Rick and get going with that. Anybody else interested? And then I know Rick, you'll do a topic on that in a few weeks, and maybe with Connie's son, you'll be.
Yeah, it'd be great. Absolutely, collaboration. Brilliant.
All right, thank you so much. All right, other news of the week from anyone?
Francis.
Yes, I just wanted to mention. So it's really amazing to see all the foundation models making this progress. And if you look at the latest trend in vibe coding and the different ways that tools are now starting to apply AI in a very concrete and specific use cases. And just FYI, this week, shameless plug here, STS will be upgrading all of our integration with those foundational models. So we'll more of that smart is going to be brought into STS for strategic planning.
Beautiful. And I was on your presentation on Thursday, actually. Yeah. Awesome. Other news. Actually, I had a client meeting this week, last week, I should say, and I took like a 1 hour and a half call. I recorded and I put it in 3 models. I put it both in ChatGPT, in Claude, and in Notebook LM. And we were, Shabbir, you were talking different qualities for different models, and ChatGPT was pretty good. Claude was awful. It literally hallucinated a bunch of things and put things that were not part of the transcript. Literally saying, "Oh yeah, we'll reduce your time by 37%." Like, what the hell is that? And then the best one by far was Notebook. Was on par, was clean, was incredible. But then you can use Claude at the end, because Claude, I learned that last week, that ChatGPT for purpose of economy use a lot less words than Claude. I didn't know that till then. So when you take a document that's 5 pages long and you put it in ChatGPT or in Claude, the output will be longer with Claude. So if you want to do, it's a little bit more Polish English, so to speak. So that was my experience last week. That was interesting with different models.
Right. So just for you, Christoph, you're probably aware that Notebook LM uses the Gemini 2.5 Pro, right? That's the model behind.
Yeah, but Notebook was incredible. All right. Any further news? Any from anyone or any challenge that you're facing this week that you would like to bring to the team for feedback, questions? I don't see any hands raised. All right, then let's move to the topic of the week. So, Ben, thank you very much for being on this call today. You went to the Vancouver Web Summit, and I think STS as for the newbies, STS is the companies that was created by partners on that call, very much call, and as a company you can, Ben, you do more justice than I will into describing that, but. Yeah, and you were presenting there, so you'll give us the feedback of the key moments that you found interesting. Francis, thank you for being here as well. I'm sure you'll be able to highlight some key points, and I think you'll use STS as well potentially to share some of the news and share some of the comments from the team and polish them and give us a summary. So Ben, let's make it. If you want to share your screen, go right ahead. Otherwise, mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Christoph, and great to see everyone. So those of you that I think I know just about everybody here, but STS was brought. Francis brought STS almost 2 years ago to the working group and presented, and several of us joined the team, myself included. And actually, by the way, today's June 16th. So the AI working group just celebrated its 2nd year anniversary 2 weeks ago. So we've been around for 2 years now, which is pretty amazing. And about consistently this number of people, if not more. So I'm super happy to be able to present now 2 years later to the working group. So
you got it started, my friend. Thank you very much. You got it going 90% of the time, so thank you.
With the community and you guys, 100%. So thank you. I will show, Francis will actually take the lead on showing a little bit about sort of the latest within STS's development over the years, but as part of this presentation, kind of will show one of the ways this. Miguel, I see your hand is raised. Do you want to chime in quick?
Yes, real quick. Can you explain what is the 42 about in STS 42?
Francis, you want to take that one?
So there are many layers to that, some of which are deeply personal. I will not share everything here in that setting. Some of that require more alcohol than we can share on a Zoom call in the middle of the day. But the base of it is really the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
If you remember the radio show, the book, the movie, they travel to the end of the universe. They meet a gigantic planetary scale computer and they ask it what is life and everything. And the computer instantly replies 42, which is just like AI today. Like you can ask anything and you get an answer right away. But what does it mean? And the meaning, the computer says, will take multiple millions of years of thinking about it and to try and explain the meaning of and the actual questions that lead to that answer. So to me, this is just like a perfect illustration of relying on a magical being, whether it's a computer or an AI, however you call it, to come up with answers out of nowhere. I think this is where there's a lot of talk about agency, and to me, 42 is a warning not to surrender our own agency when making decisions.
Okay.
And for the really geeks in this group, 42 is also the ASCII code for the star character, which means if you do a SQL, like a database query, star means bring me everything.
Okay. Yes.
Multiple layers.
Yeah, Miguel, I'm so glad you asked. And I love that. I mean, I love that this is like when Francis first told me that, I had a deeper understanding of sense of humor, and I was just like, I got to work with this guy. I just is. So all right. So we had the opportunity, STS had the opportunity to go to Web Summit in Vancouver this year to present. We had a booth There was many startups there. There was a 4-day long conference. It was in Toronto the last 3 years. It's going to be in Vancouver the next 3 years. This is one of the better tech conferences I've been to, if not the best. I put it on par to South by Southwest, which I went to a few years ago. In terms of the content and the engagement and the different things, so I think it was an excellent event. And if you have the opportunity to go next year, I recommend it. I'm gonna kind of get into the main takeaways. So I went to a lot of talks. We talked to a lot of people, hundreds of people, and there was over 15,000 people there total. It was in Vancouver. Most of the people were actually, I was surprised, but not surprised that I met most people from Canada, but outside of Canada too, around the world. Less from the United States, I think, considering the border issue between the two countries right now. Not as many people traveling between the two countries, but so I met people a lot of people from Ukraine, people from Uruguay, from Europe, from Southeast Asia, all over the place. And so these are the main highlights that I wanted to cover here. So basically, the current state of AI, its economic development and impact. That is, there was a lot of VCs and there was a lot of panels talking about the current status or state of investment. So I wanted to bring that information to this group. And also leading into the next important topic, which is building and sustaining a tech company in this new AI era, which is really how a lot of this group was really born out of the interest of building with AI and building companies and augmenting our companies. So I'll talk about the latest on this front. And then, of course, ethics was brought up by Rick. There was a lot of conversation about this. One of the things I like about having these conferences in Canada is we're not afraid to talk about these things. In the US, it seems like it's more about growth and scaling and investment. And in Canada, we talk a lot about ethics and regulation and social impact. So that I was really grateful for that. And Francis will get into trust and safety here, the last bullet point, and some of the others too. I'll jump through because he's going to go into depth when we have a bit more of a collaborative part of this presentation. All right, so I'm going to talk about a lot of things pretty quickly. If you have questions, just drop them in the chat. We'll get into the breakout. I usually like to take time for questions, but since there's so much material, I want to move fairly quickly so we can save those for later. So AGI, people love to talk about this. I mean, really, there's just no single clear definition. Francis was talking about Gary Marcus. I like the way he thinks about it. So he and some early pioneers focus more on the adaptability and flexibility of AI. So acting like, another way to say that is acting like humans in a broad range of tasks. Whereas say like OpenAI or Anthropic founders define AGI as kind of the ability to do most economically valuable work that humans can do, as opposed to just say, smarter than all humans. Anyway, or a human. Bottom line is, I think the important thing here for us and for me personally is that it's a moving target, but maybe the most value I get from thinking about it is to consider what life will be like when we do reach the point when AI is smarter than all of us and is in systems that can outperform us. So what kind of safeguards do we need in place when we kind of reach this point, whether it's in 2 years or 20 years? I think we need to be thinking about this and building into our systems now. So the next point is that really AI is pretty hyped, maybe even overhyped, but it's still useful. And so the points that were driven home for me and during the week was that LLMs are not a universal solvent. They can't solve every problem and shouldn't be trusted for critical tasks. So it's still unsuitable for like medicine, for like chance for misdiagnosis. And also it was brought to my attention that even in self-driving cars, which are like, all over California and other cities now, that there's actually there's reports now are coming out that self-driving cars are more than twice as likely to be involved in an accident compared to human-driven cars, which is interesting. I didn't know that. But some studies suggest that they are considerably less injurious or even fatal than human-operated vehicle crashes. So I get what that suggests to me is that they're slower and they're not taking as many chances. So when they do get in an accident, they're not necessarily fatal. And then in coding, we know about hallucination issues, but this is something I hadn't heard of before. But so when you use LLMs to code, they can actually hallucinate names of public code repositories, so that they don't even exist. And so what kind of malicious actors are doing is they're uploading malicious code using those names that have been hallucinated. So you may actually go find that that packet which didn't exist before, but now somebody created something which is actually malicious code. And so you start to use it, and it's like basically they called it a new attack vector. So I hadn't heard of that before. And then there was a term called slop squatting, which I hadn't heard of, which I thought was hilarious and terrifying. So anyway, so we're definitely still in this hype cycle, but there are obviously, as we all know here in this group, still a lot of uses. And so the key takeaway really is, I think that there's a valuable tool. It is for code. You can use it for coding, brainstorming and writing. Adoption shows some practical benefits, but it's not a universal solution. It's a powerful tool, not a magical solution, is the main thing I want to leave with here. Okay, so now let's get into the economic impact and adoption that we're seeing. So we like to, within OpenEXO, at least, the organization that we kind of came out of, we talk about disruption a lot. And so I want to talk about the way disruption is already here, but maybe not in the ways we like to think are the ways that are really hyped. So some of the key points here are, we know that, say, in areas like commercial arts or maybe voice acting or even Google search, the way we get information is the way I kind of think about it now, has changed dramatically with the inclusion of LLMs and these chatbots. But what we're seeing, though, is that there's actually lower productivity improvements than what has been hyped. So there's a gap between the expected and actual measurable impact of AI and company productivity. So the disruption that is that the AI widespread adoption hasn't yet translated into the promised productivity gains, which is challenging initial market expectations and potentially altering investment strategies, which I'll get into a little bit later. So there's a mismatch between the AI's perceived capabilities and its current real-world application efficiency. The next point, and this is quite interesting, and I hadn't thought of this other than energy use, but IT infrastructure is not being able to handle the higher use demands of AI. So, like, for example, AI agents are interacting with existing internal tools and APIs that significantly at higher frequency, so even like 10 to 100 times more than humans. And so what that means is the introduction of the workload from AI exposes the limitations of infrastructure designed for human level usage. So this leads to performance and stability issues, and it really it disrupts, if you could say it this way, the assumption about system capacity and design. The next point is that we're putting a lot of private data into the public internet. So companies, people are starting to use these chatbots, and they're just putting all their company information out into these LLMs, and it's creating a security risk. And also a point I made about people looking for information in different places. So not only AI, but also in social media, people are starting to use social media for getting their information. Okay, so the next piece, change management is a bottleneck, and maybe this is not such a bad thing. I've worked in change management a lot for many years in consulting, like how to help companies adopt these new technologies. So while the technology is here, but what's not holding it back is really people being afraid of the change, and people like lawyers and compliance people with big companies saying, like, let's see how this pans out first. And maybe it's with good reason. So it's an interesting kind of balance that we all have to play. It's like, some of it, the technology is there. It's having an impact in some places. Can't be reliable in other places. But we also can't run the risk of being completely left behind. So we have to find that balance of, how quickly do we adopt it without being completely left behind. So there's some of the adoption strategies that companies are adopting. I'll kind of breeze through this a bit. IBM believes in kind of an open source models. They have something now called Granite, which means that businesses can use, modify, and build on top of these AI tools easily. Another example is Reflection AI. And so they offer more like complete ready-to-use platforms for agentic AI. And then there's another example kind of on the other side is like Inflection AI, which focuses on ROI and flexible models, which means so some of them are basically open source that can be customized or fine-tuned to fit specific business needs. So you have kind of like open source, complete open source. You have like ready to use, so you don't have to worry about like legal or privacy issues, just out of the box, just use it. And then you have an Inflection that's kind of almost like a hybrid, and where you have like flexible models where you can be customized and fine-tuned. Then I want to talk a bit about the challenges in deployment. So I think this is important for this group, as we're building and trying to deploy things and get adoption. The focus really now, and I've heard this over the course of the last year, especially for 2025, is the focus really now is on the ROI. So companies really want to see that their investment is returning, is coming back to them, in tenfold, or at least coming back to them. And there also the other problem with deployment is the kind of garbage in, garbage out problem with data. So I think there's a lot of assumptions that were made that you can just throw all your data. You've been collecting data for a lot. You have a bunch of stuff, and you just basically chuck it at AI and assume that it's going to come out with good outputs. But that, companies are now really seeing that that's not the case. And the last point I'll make on this is that there's a real need for tooling to help companies decide which workflows are worth pursuing. So what I mean by that, or what was stated, is that you can find all kinds of new workflows, but the costs of running them can't exceed the value of the organization. In other words, you're using AI to figure out what you're doing, and maybe it can help you figure out what new workflows can be developed, but not all of them are going to return an investment. So it's important to kind of come up with a way to figure out what the return is going to be before you build. The next point on this, or the last point on this slide, is for all of us again to look at AI as it was called, defined as like a tailwind or a headwind. So what I mean by that, like a tailwind, you can imagine it's behind you, and it helps you say, if you can use AI to help you grow or innovate. Does it help you this way? Like say using it to automate pricing or improve customer service, that can boost efficiency or expand your reach, like Talus was an example given. Or as a headwind, you think of it as like, is AI forcing you to say pivot or adapt? So an example of like Adobe. So they shifted to focus more on AI-driven software to keep up with industry changes and maintain their growth. So they had to change course because of what was happening in the market. Other companies faced challenges like shortage of talent or data issues, which had made it harder to implement AI effectively. So they had to rethink their strategies or business model. So in summary, I would say that some businesses can build AI into their products and use it to grow, while others have to adapt and pivot. But the point is just be honest about what scenario applies to your business. Okay, so now this leads into like the VC landscape and investment. And so, like I said, there was a lot of panels and talks about investment. And so what we're seeing is that there's a concentration of deals. And so the VC market is currently experiencing, quote, a higher concentration of large deals and lower concentration of small deals. So The stat I heard was that over 83% of deals in Q1 were above 50 million. Like, this is the highest in over a decade. So what they're saying, and that what this is indicating, is that investors are prioritizing quality. That's, I mean, 83% of Q1 deals over 50 million is a significant number. That's a lot. And I'll talk about seed in here in a second. So while the broader market is cautious overall, AI really is the clear exception when it comes to investment. And it's driving like high quarterly deal values through massive funding rounds for companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Infinite Reality are some examples. And some panelists suggest that AI has saved VC in many ways because it's accelerating company creation and scaling, whereas there wouldn't be that many investments otherwise. So the next point is that the challenges really are persisting. So despite the boom, the AI boom that is, first-time finances have slowed down, and they called it the flat and down rounds are becoming increasingly more common. So what that means is that a flat round is a company that raises money at the same valuation as its previous funding round, and a down round is a company raises money at a lower valuation than before. So that's something that this actually increasing, is becoming more common. And I think it's leading, like there's a lack of liquidity, and what was described as kind of meaningful distributions, or basically just paybacks to LPs. So it's made limited partners more cautious, and they're extending their investment timelines for uninvested capital. And the last point on this is that venture debt is also being used to avoid, or at least the stigma of a down round. So it basically they're using it as a loan instead of raising more equity. Okay, so seed funding amounts are expanding. That what this means is that the definition of a seed round is really broadening. So some rounds are even reaching 50 million, and companies are also often raising multiple seed rounds too, as they try to reach product market fit. And the meaning of traction has also become less clear. So I think this is important for us. The quick adoption of some of these AI tools doesn't always guarantee a durable business model. So I think what that's pointing to is that there's a lot of adoption of these AI tools that maybe is kind of inflating the value, or gives you the idea that they're growing very, very quickly, but it doesn't guarantee that there's a durable business model. So they're becoming a bit more cautious as we're kind of figuring this all out. So shifting valuations and competition. Seed was traditionally seen as a stage for cheaper entry, but as the market has shifted, large multi-stage funds are creeping down into seed, and what that means is that there's kind of a bit more competition, it's kind of driving up valuations as a result as well. But some would argue if you're building something that VCs care about, you're going to get swarmed by VCs. So it's not really an issue. And the last point on this slide is that there's global expansion. I think this is important for all of us. We're a global group. We're all over the world. And they were saying that, like, while the US still holds immense momentum and inertia, quote unquote, in VC, global markets are increasingly challenging this dominance. There's growing interest in regions like Southeast Asia and India and the Middle East, with the discussions of going public on different exchanges to bypass traditional US IPO avenues. This trend emphasizes, quote unquote, being global from day one for startups. So I think that's important to note. Okay, so moving on to building tech companies in this era. So what they're looking for, it seems, I've heard this a lot, is really the founder qualities. I think this really stays true. This is true before AI, but really the VCs are talking about the founders more than ever. The obsession, the newer trend I'm hearing is just really the focus on the obsession of the problem that you're trying to solve. So VCs are looking for the manically focused founders with unique insight and the ability to persevere through challenges. So they really want you to be focused on the problem and not the tech. So I heard it as a kind of like a combination between swagger and humility, which I liked. It's essential for adapting in a rapidly changing world. Like, you got to have the swagger and you got to have the humility to know, wait, this is not working the way I thought it was. Things are changing. This is a nice quote. I like this one. Nail it before you scale it. So the core principle here basically is to truly find product market fit. And not all companies are kind of speedboats like AI native firms. Many are sailboats. They need to catch the wind and progress steadily. So make sure you know exactly what you're doing and you've really nailed it before you start to put all your investment into scaling. The next point is to focus on real problems, as I kind of, really is as pointed in the first point. Leveraging groups and networks. So what they were saying in these panels and talks was that really success is depending on setting a high bar for talent, fostering a cohesive team, and carefully choosing investors who align with long-term goals rather than just offering a highest valuation. That makes a lot of sense. I think now too, and maybe there's even a lot more talent that's kind of on the market because of a lot of layoffs that have happened in the last, say 24 months. Strategic IP and partnerships is my last point here. This is an area we're looking at, kind of around IPs, like creating IP with your clients, helping them market it and get it to market and find value with your IP. And then also the partnerships was that I went to a couple talks on partnerships. So like aligning goals and your metrics and planning events are vital for growth and scaling, kind of share the costs and your community, especially when financial capital is limited. I think this is a very good point. Okay, so I'm going to go quickly through this. I want to save enough time to really get into to what Francis is going to share when it comes to like transparency and safety. But the core ideas here are, there's a lot of talks about regulation. It's kind of about finding the balance between premature regulating something when you still need to do a lot of research and hampering innovation. This debate continues. Ethical core and character. So I wanted to include this point because Dr. Cornel West spoke, and I love listening to him whenever he's nearby or he's somewhere I can catch him. I definitely recommend you listening to Cornel West. He's an author and a philosopher, just a great thinker. I love him. And he really, I feel like he made a great, powerful case for the need for compassion now, and the importance of integrity and courage when developing technology, and because basically he's warning against kind of the unchecked organized greed and weaponized hatred, as he said, that can be amplified by tech, and we're really seeing this now. And he made a really good point. He warned against the cult of smartness, he called it, noting that intelligence alone is insufficient without compassion and a concern for those suffering. And he urged humility in how technology is built, so we continually check and ensure it supports pro-social outcomes. He views big tech's growing moral and spiritual authority as dangerous, and the primary disruption must come from speaking truth to yourself and fostering an openness and willingness to pay a cost, I think, to speak out. So I was grateful that they gave him voice there. Beware of the echo chambers that we can fall into, and the security challenges we'll get into here shortly. The last point I'll leave is that around Canada's opportunity and challenge. Since this was in Canada, there's several Canadians here. There's a strong foundation in AI and quantum research. but the country itself faces a kind of a fractured ecosystem and struggles with commercializing and holding on to its value. There's a lot of innovation that's come out of here, but we risk repeating the past technological advances being lost to other countries. And there's a call for different ways of thinking, simply throwing beyond simply throwing more and more compute at problems. Okay, so I want to get into the trust and transparency part of this. And Francis, are you all right to start sharing and take it from here?
Sure.
Great.
So I did put, for those of you who want to participate, I did put a link to the board if you're already part of the working group team in STS. I will share my screen.
Yep, working fine on our hand here. Yep.
Great.
Perfect. Ben, can you monitor if people need either access to the team or signs up?
Absolutely. Yeah, if you need access, just drop your DM me your email address after you've created an account.
All right. So there was a lot of discussion at the Web Summit regarding our trust and transparency and safety, and there was especially an excellent talk from Carrie Ryan, which is a senior leader at the Trustpilot. It was all like really how as technology vendors, how can we establish a trust relationship between ourselves and our clients, and that was a very stimulating talk. And so what I built here, if you can see my screen and if you can access it also, really I took 4 thought leaders. So Gary Marcus, that says today's AI is not intelligent. Yoshia Bengio, that says AI needs to be regulated just like air travel is. Yuval Noah Harari, that says that AI is the first weapon that can decide to kill you. And Dario Amodei, that says AI vendors need to be more transparent. And so what I did is I just in that board here, I just added like a few sentences just to try and capture some of the ideas from these individuals. And then I created on the next column to the right a space where we can all contribute and type, like, if you have some ideas about whether or not today's AI is intelligent, you can just type it here and hit enter, and it will create a card. And then what you think about regulation, you can type your ideas here. What you think about AI's quote unquote bad intent and the position of Harari, and same here for Amodei. And then so all of you who have access, if you want to just add a couple of ideas here, and really like you can enter some ideas in one or multiple of these boxes, just as I see that people are starting to doing it. And then once we have a couple of comments there, we'll then move to asking the AI to help us think through some of those ideas and concepts.
So Francis, would you like us to take a couple minutes on our own
Yes,
to fill
please.
it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just do it now, like maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
Let's go for it.
If you're having difficulties, if you're getting an error message like Dr. Scott has, make sure that you have given me your email address that you're signed in on, and I'll add you to the team where this board is shared. Got you, Greg. Just a second. And Greg and Thomas, you should be able to access it now. Aaron, you're next. Okay, you all should have access now.
We have a decent amount of answer. A couple more minutes and then we go.
Yep. Just 1 more minute.
Let's see. June 16.
Brian, you're in.
Ben, I just don't find it. I am in 2025. There's a lot of folders there, a lot of words, but I don't find the exact date. I was in another one.
It's not in the webinar. It's in this. It's this link here. I'll add it again to the chat. Try that one there in the chat, the very bottom. Steve, you're next.
Unexpected error seems.
Okay, which email address are you using? Which account are you signed in with?
With mine?
Yes.
All right. While Ben is helping Miguel here, I see a lot of good things have been added. Make sure that you hit enter once you type text.
Francis, do you have enough data or you need a couple more?
No, I think that's enough. We can move on to the next step. So what I did is that I created AI agents. I configured AI agents next to each of these rows. So AI ideas on intelligence. So if I click here, you see that it's looking at Gary Marcus' idea about AI not being intelligence and what we think, we as the group here, whether AI is actually intelligent. And I did the same for all of these sections here. You see the second row is about regulation, what we think and what Yoshua Bengio was saying. And then I have the same thing for Yuval Noah Harari and what we think about it. And Dario Amodei's position about transparency, right? So what I'll do is I'll just ask very simple questions. So right now those AI are configured as concise assistants. So hopefully we'll get short answers. And I'm going to ask basically just what do you think about this? And I'll repeat that questions for each agent. And to me, that's a perfect use case of using AI in a brainstorming sessions where we start with some context, so some quote unquote data, and then we have a team of people coming together and putting their ideas independently, and then we ask the AI to summarize or to provide an opinion on all of this. So let's see what we've got here on intelligence. So AI is not really intelligent, lacks self-awareness and understanding. LM excels in pattern recognition, but not genuine thinking. Outputs are not always reliable, lack of internal truth checking. So you see that one is interesting because I think someone said something about the data is not reliable. So you see here the AI combined that with something that Gary Marcus said about reliability. So that's, again, like, to me, that's a perfect intentions of use example of using AI in a collaborative tool in a way that provides a neat perspective. On the regulations, what did we see here? So there's a need, but a balance is required between innovation and progress. There's a risk that improved models can be misused by bad actors. There's concern about ineffective regulation. And then on bad intents, we have errors potentials for autonomous little decision making. Definitely concern there. The rapid advancement outpaces our ability to adapt, our organizations or institutions' ability to adapt. He thinks this is on par with, if not worse than a nuclear threat. And all intentions, AI intentions mirrors the creator's intentions. I would say probably even more so, maybe the user's intentions, even more so than the creators. And AI is a tool. And then what do we have to say about transparency? There's a bit more content here. So transparency in AI, essential for accountability. Challenges exist due to proprietary interests and competitive market. There's an impact on jobs. We need policies to support workforce transition. Probably we can add something here about UBI, universal basic income, which is probably should be considered as a right, human rights at this point. Efficiency gains, but raises questions about creativity and quality, definitely. Transparency versus competitive, and then hiring trends, and some changes into the society also. So anyway, that I didn't want to take too much time, but I thought that was a fun little exercise. Just look at various people, what they think about different topic, have people in the virtual room contribute, and then see how the AI can help us summarize that. Any questions, comments, feedback?
Let's take a few minutes before we jump in a breakout room. Who would like to comment? Mark, was you raising your hand? There was a lot of information.
Oh, by the way, we can make that available if you're interested. Actually, one of the features that we've added is we can now export a board like that as a Word
If you don't mind
document.
sharing it in chat, and maybe Ben, you can put it in WhatsApp, or either you, Francis, as well.
Yeah.
And we can continue, and I want to use that tool to add more cards and ask more questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rock and roll. All right, so let's jump to the breakout room, and we have about 20 minutes today. So the breakout rooms, let me first open them all to you so you can see them. You should be able to see them now in 20 minutes. And again, if you want to continue the conversation, whether also what you heard about Vancouver, all these news, or about what Francis just took us through at the moment, please go to the one that say continue conversation on this topic. If you have any issue, anything you want to talk about business, go to the second one. As Rick was mentioning, and Connie, maybe about ethics, AI and ethics, and potentially also social media. If you want to participate in this conversation, please jump on that one. And also, Rick will be presenting on this topic in the incoming weeks. So if you can help him bring more opinions, so that becomes much more rich with all everybody's interest, please. Education, tech development, and health jump. So we have about 19 minutes. If you want to jump from one room to the other, you absolutely can. And if there's nobody in one of the room, jump to another one. We'll see you in 19 minutes.
Christophe, just to say very quickly, what I'm presenting touches on education and health. So it's not just ethics.
Thank you for precising that. Thank you for absolutely. Education, ethics, please jump in room ethics. Thank you for this additional detail. All right. Enjoy. We'll see you soon. Miguel, sorry you didn't join on Friday. I saw your chat. I apologize. I did not reply. It's the same link as today. I always use the same one.
Okay.
I apologize. I saw your link later on in the afternoon. I'm so sorry I didn't reply to it. Yeah. Look forward to seeing you on Friday, on this Friday.
I tried to enter, but I couldn't. Didn't let me, and I was also.
That's weird. I'm going to go in the tech development. Brian is by himself. Do you want to join us there, or do you want to go another one?
No. I'm just checking. Yes, I will go ahead. Do your thing, and I do mine.
Perfect.
Don't worry.
Aaron, are you joining any of the team? Aaron? Brian moved to business. Aaron, are you there?
This video right here never really existed. It got over 8 million views. It's one of the first videos that is completely AI generated, that has gone viral and is making it.
Hi, I'm Brian Gatsby. I speak at a lot of conferences.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We had a full 20 minutes to discuss a lot of things. So, all right. Let's summarize a little bit the couple rooms. Ben, I was in a room with you. You want to give a quick 1 minute, you know, what we discussed, if you want?
Sure. So we talked a bit more about where seed funding is coming from or going, if it's really purpose driven, or if a moonshot can drive investment. We talked about kind of actually the last bit, Christopher, or do you mind picking up on what Manoj was sharing about small consultancies or?
Yeah, so we did talk specifically about consulting small business and the effect on AI. And Manoj was saying about in India specifically, we didn't see a big wave of laying off a lot of people that were in the tech industry, as much as the mindset in the country being a lot about entrepreneurship, and therefore the workforce over there are being adaptive and learning to work for themselves. So I was commenting that the company I was at, Citrix, 3,000 engineers have been laid off in a consolidation and so on. There didn't seem to be that kind of mindset in India due to the way you are bringing into entrepreneurship and riding the next wave and being ready. Manoj, I hope I say it right.
Yes, thanks.
Perfect. What about business? What did you guys discuss? We would like to comment a little bit on what was covered in that room, please. It's better to be volunteer than volatile. Come on.
Okay. I think that was our room, Gary? Yeah. So I was the one who benefited the most. So my question was, in this present time of, AI and algorithms changing, is it still relevant to post Facebook ads to sell like low-cost products or build an email list? So I got a lot of good advice, and we talked about how it becomes much faster to create content now. And Bill will share something with us later on positive psychology, and Dale talked about positive psychology as well.
Perfect. And what was the main advice you got from it? What was the one?
It's still relevant, and it's just that I have to figure out how to, how to post more often, which is not something I do.
That's actually AI can help you with, absolutely.
Yeah. I think Leila had shared a tool with us, like how to automate all this. Probably that is what I have to do. Like creating content is not as much a problem as setting aside time to post.
I think Leila posted it in WhatsApp, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and the company, the lady from the company did a demo. I should go back into that and check.
Cool. Rick, Connie, you guys were in the education, ethics. Would you like to summarize for us what you discussed?
Well, it's not a summary, but everyone else missed out on an incredible session with Connie and Miguel. I'm sorry, you guys, you missed out. But just for you, I'm going to share something that you will benefit from. And I changed the question that I originally posed, actually, and I see if I can put it into the chat here. And I refined it, and I'm going to go back and do an AI rework of it. But just to give you a feel for it, this is the output that I generated during the course of the call. And then I changed the question because Connie asked a question. She said, what about the good of AI? And she says, what's good about it? And I changed my question because it's a compound question that cannot be taken by human comprehension. You have to read it slowly, and you can use AI to create a cascading question. But how can we use our awareness of the good, bad, and the ugly of moral, amoral, and moral AI to improve brain function, yada, yada, yada. So anyway, great session, Miguel. Thank you, Connie. Stimulated my brain, and more to come.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Rick. And we are right on the hour. So Ben, thank you so much for taking the time today to take us through this debrief of Vancouver. And it was a lot of information. You put a lot of effort into that. Thank you so very much appreciated. Shabbir is not on the line anymore. I don't see him, but thank you again, as always, to present the news and digest them for us. Pleasure to have you, to see all of you this week. I look forward to next Monday together. If you want to join the Friday meeting, the leadership meeting, please do. We need your voice to keep finding a topic that are useful for all of us. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful week. It will be recorded, put on YouTube today, and so pass it on and download. Save your chat for the comments and the links that are put in it.
Okay, thank you, Christophe.
so
Great
much.
job, Ben. Thanks a lot for your overview.
Thank you,
you,
Christophe.
See you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
Have a better one. Take care, guys. Thank you, Manoj. Thank you, Aaron. Maria.